All 50 states are doing a free-for-all war. Who wins and why? Alaska. Nobody wants to go all that way to invade it. I've watched enough Life Below Zero to know that I wouldn't last a couple days out there. In the summer I was just there and Anchorage was at a record of 92°F. Even then, 90 is pretty high for Alaska. How's the smoke there? Have the fires slowed down? It's started raining a little bit. There haven't been any new fires for a while. That's assuring to hear. Where I'm at, folks are just watching the fires because this part of the forest hasn't burnt in ages. It's stopped smoking a couple weeks ago, so that's good. Rhode Island. Someone would attack it and accidentally drive through it and think they are in Rhode Island but passed through it and ended up in Connecticut or Massachusetts. My brother lives in Rhode. Sometimes we are driving around to grab some food, and suddenly we're in Massachusetts. Like, out of nowhere, it's like Rhee's immune system just spontaneously ejects us without warning. Aussie here. Your state is the size of some of our beaches. Until it's not entirely an island. I feel misled. Yay, it's the baby of the family. Its old name was Rhode Island and Providence Plantation because it was two parts, an island and a mainland. Then they changed the name of the island from Rhode Island to Aquidneck Island, and mostly dropped the Providence Plantations line from the title, so now it's called Rhode Island for seemingly no reason. New Jersey because even a tank wouldn't be able to survive these potholes. And try driving a tank through a jug handle. Not to mention all the freaking toll booths. How much is it for a tank to travel the parkway or the turnpike? Do they even make S-Pass for a tank? Texas and Florida would form an alliance. A genetically engineered super soldier is created with the strength and power of Chuck Norris and the tenacity and utter insanity of Florida Man. Please nerf. We at Ubisoft realize that Florida Texas Chuck Norris Man is overpowered, so to balance it we've removed one of Blackbeard's shields. Did not expect to see a siege comment in this at all. North Dakota. If they were an independent nation, they'd have the third largest nuclear arsenal behind the US and Russia. North Dakota found to be harboring nuclear missiles. Satellite photos confirm that the North Dakotans have been quietly harboring an extensive nuclear weapons program, said Blix, presenting his findings in a speech to the UN Security Council. Alarmingly, this barely developed hinterland possesses the world's most technologically advanced weapons of mass destruction, capable of reaching targets all over the world. And they wouldn't be able to use them. The keys and codes are in DC. I thought the codes were all Utah. They sit out of the war by using their bunkers. Utah is full of them. Prepicon is held in Utah for reason. Once only a few states are left, Utah comes out swinging with their surplus they have been saving. Plus, even if they don't have a bunker, all Mormons should have at least a year's worth of food stored. It's one of their rules. They also have a command and control structure that would allow better communication and designated staging areas. Texas, because guns. Not to mention the sheer size of it. You defense the major metros, and let the sheer vastness of the rest take out the other invaders. West Texas isn't gonna be too friendly to outsiders. Never invade Russia in winter, never invade Texas in not winter. You fools. You thought you were invading in spring, but that only lasts 3 days in Texas. And then it's back. And then it's gone. And suddenly winter. But only for a few days. No, in Texas we have 3 summers and 1 fall/spring combo that lasts exactly 4 days. Usually in February. I think we all agree on the top 3 due to populations, locations, and economy. Let's talk dark horses now. Minnesota. Winter is coming. Come for us and well pull back while winter freezes you over. Come in the summer and used to the heat. Have you met construction and humidity season? Plus, lot of us have guns and love the outdoors. Also, because we are Minnesota nice, which is basically really passive aggressive, we will offer them incredible hospitality. Then, after a belly full of tater-tot hot dish and some bent bad leaper, we will kill you in your sleep. Oh, let me sneak past you and seize your Capitol building. California, because the two most important assets in war are money and manpower. They also have a ton of significant bases and the majority of the Pacific Fleet based out of San Diego. The sheer amount of military presence in California is no joke. Fun fact, according to the US Census, the only thing separating the San Diego and Los Angeles metropolitan areas are Camp Pendleton, Arizona, because the heat would burn you alive. If we force people to the Sonoran Desert part of Arizona, then yeah, that would work. But only during the summer months. The north is huge too. You've got Lake Powell/Meade at the Utah/Az border, entire stretch of the Navajo Reservation to Kingman on I-40 and the Grand Canyon and the geological variances. Mogo Lone Rim, Sedona, Humphreys Peak, Meteor Crater. The sheer vast of land and elevation changes that Arizona has might be for our advantage. Arizona would be great for guerrilla warfare, especially up north, but it's too hemmed in by other states to really be a major player, I'd think. Now if Utah, Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico and Arizona all formed an alliance, that could go somewhere. Iowa. With all the farms, they can easily feed themselves, there's no big cities to raise to create huge loss of life, and the John Deere factory in Waterloo can be converted into a factory to build tanks within 24 hours, if necessary. Also, many Iowans are hunters and own guns. You can begin hunter safety courses and own your own guns at the age of 12. And, Iowa mostly grows corn, which is used to make Iowa one of the leading producers of ethanol, used in your gasoline. Also, from personal experience, a lot of Iowans' idea of fun comes from going to the shooting range, hunting, and camping, when weather permits, so they're already used to shooting and roughing it. Can confirm, I live in Waterloo, and the land around the John Deere factory is ridiculous. I have friends whose parents work as engineers there, and I wouldn't put it past them to be able to go underground all the farmland they control and just start building tanks. Waterloo has a population of roughly 60k, and neighboring cities about 1 to 3 hours away even have pops of 100k plus. It wouldn't be hard to deliver over the interstate/even get a unified force going. New York. As long as they sweep northeast first and clear everyone out there, they will have incredible defensive positioning. Everyone saying Texas seems to forget that Texas borders 4 states that are also full of guns. Trying to defend the Texan border across all 4 states would be a nightmare. And even if they won, those guys would have to travel across an entire hostile country just to reach New York, and NY's borders are much, much smaller. Smaller borders equals easier to defend. As long as they sweep northeast first. Deep under Gillette Stadium, in his off-season recharging cradle, Tom Brady stirs a single finger. Before we start, let's make a few things clear. If war broke out, the states would stop trading with each other. And to make this fight fair, other states cannot form alliances or receive aid from other states or other countries. Also, I'm going off more of a risk-like scenario where borders and troops matter the most, but while also going off real-world advantages also to make things somewhat fair. No nuclear weapons, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of this. Alabama is known for having all of the resources for steel and iron works, and its aerospace program which would allow it access to non-nuclear missiles, which would make it not only a big threat but also a big target. And seeing as it is surrounded by Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Mississippi, almost all of them have a greater population, it probably wouldn't last long, as it would become a war zone pretty quickly unless it could destroy its neighbors before any of them decide to strike. Alaska, its cold climate is definitely enough to keep people out of the state, and since Canada's borders would be closed, they only have to watch the southern borders for invading ships. But there is one problem: they may have high resistance to cold temperatures, but they aren't immune. All it takes is to have small groups at a time take out a few houses at a time with a few bombs, and slowly but surely, they will be forced to retreat further inland for shelter, and if things continue to work smoothly for probably a few years, they will be trapped and it will be like shooting fish in a barrel. But one problem with this plan is that it would not only require a lot of time, people, and ammunition, but this would all have to be done with one state. I think Alaska would be fine until one state has taken over the entire west coast. One crippling problem with Alaska is that it cannot expand easily. Not only would it take a while for them to enter the battle, but it would take a large number of their forces to invade a place like Washington, and they simply don't have a large enough population to both defend and invade. So they are stuck there until they are inevitably attacked.